Anyway, I'm going to talk about education and the plans that Kathy Huffman has released regarding opening up K through 12 education. You know, I was a mom, I was a working mom, and I'm a grandma now. And so education and what's going on with the schools and what's going on with childcare related to those kids that were in school are things that I'm really concerned about. And so I've been in a couple different meetings in the last few days. One thing I really want to do is give a shout out to Kathy Huffman. I think she is amazing, and we are so lucky to have her heading up the schools. She talked with the Democrats yesterday. In fact, Victoria was on there. And so anyway, so she talked about the process that they went through to come up with the open up orders or suggestions for the schools. They are going to suggest local control because, at least as far as schools concerned, we are a pro-choice state, right? And so she said that there's there's a gamut of options, right? The schools can go back and open up just as they were with everybody in the classroom. They can also go the opposite direction and have all online, or they could have some sort of a hybrid system. And so one of the systems is that they would, for example, if they had a high school and they were going to do, like, say, 9th and 10th graders on Monday, close down the entire school on Wednesday to be cleaned, and then have, juniors and seniors there on Thursday and Friday. And then, on Thursday and Friday, the 9th and 10th graders would be home doing their homework. And I'm like, right, yeah, no, I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I don't see how this really works all that well for the students and the parents, especially that sort of a hybrid system. Also for the younger children, the ones who are in elementary school, who is going to take care of them on those days that they are not in school? I think that this would be chaos, really, for the schools and for the parents and for the daycare providers. And so it's really, I think it's going to be hard to work out. Now, like I said, they realize that, rural schools are going to have different rules than urban schools, perhaps. And they're looking at, everything like, for example, school districts can say that everybody has to wear a mask, the teachers and the students and even the younger kids. And so that's a possibility. And again, they're giving local control. I do think that the sort of the half days are a little more dangerous in some ways. The split schedules, because you not only have the kids going in and out of school, you have the kids going in and out of daycare potentially, or in and out of their grandparents' house, because a lot of times grandparents are the babysitters when you have like a random schedule. So then that puts not only the students and the teachers and the parents, but the grandparents and the daycare providers, everybody sort of at risk. And so this whole thing kept me awake last night. And I'm serious, so anyway, the other thing that we talked about with the superintendent was the finance issues. And so the schools are financed based on that 100-day count, who's in the seat on 100 days. And so a lot of parents might not send their kids back to school. Some of them might decide to try homeschooling. Some of them may opt to do the online. The parents can opt into a semester of online only. So that means that the schools would have far fewer kids in the seats at 100 days. And so they're trying to figure out, how to make sure that the schools get enough funding, because they weren't funded enough already. And now they're going to have all this washing down and PPE and all these other expectations put on them. And so I feel bad for what's going on. I really do. I mean, Vail School is going to start on July 20th, so that's coming up right around the corner. And so they think that they might have a deal on the school finance. They thought if we have a special session, they're going to try to propose that the school districts not lose more than 2% of their funding even if they lose up to 20% of their students because of the COVID-19. And so what they're saying is that schools don't usually lose more than 2% of their student population. And so that would still give them about the same amount of funding. So hopefully we will not be taking funding away from them at the same time we're asking them to do more. There was a lot of talk about technology also, because according to Ms. Hoffman, we have about 1.1 million students, but 200,000 students don't have either an internet connection or the right hardware to do distance learning. And so that's a huge issue. And I'm concerned that with the COVID-19 virus, again, we already had a broken, underfunded system, and now we have even more potential disparity between the kids whose parents have the internet and have a computer, and the kids who have to, you know, drive a distance just to get a shaky Wi-Fi signal. Many of you know Gabby Caceres-Kelly, you know, who has been teaching down at the TO Nation, and she said that she had students that would have to, their parents would have to drive an hour with a cell phone to a Circle K to get a shaky Wi-Fi signal, you know, to get the internet. And so this is what we're up against with some of these students. And again, I'm concerned that we're going to see more disparity unless we really put the money into making things more equal, which is something the state has not done. There are some schools that are talking about buying laptops for children. There are other schools that are just concerned about having enough teachers. We also had Joe Thomas from AEA on the call for a while today. I'm going to wrap up with his comments, but he was concerned. He wanted to make sure that the financing's fixed. He's also concerned about standardized testing. You know, he says that, you know, he doesn't think that they should have standardized testing this year because the students are obviously going to have wildly different learning experiences, okay? And then the other thing that he was saying that they're concerned about the different levels of workers, right? They're trying to figure out how to make the bus drivers safe in addition to making the teachers safe. And they're also concerned about the older teachers. And in fact, when the Health and Human Services Committee was on a phone call a few weeks ago with some researchers from California, they were talking about opening up the university system, and they were saying that older professors ought to take a year off and take a sabbatical and not teach. And so that's kind of what they're talking about for the, I mean, that's not what they're talking about for the older teachers in K through 12, but it's an issue. It's going to be more dangerous for those older teachers, the teachers over 60. So lots of things are sort of up in the air. We do have a good plan. I think that Ms. Hoffman is doing a good job of bringing different types of stakeholders together to talk about this. But I think for parents and students and teachers, it's going to be a little scary to open the schools, you know, and that's all I have to say. And so now we can open it up for questions.